Moving our bodies is essential to healthy living, but how we move differs from place to place and across cultures. My name is Hayley Bone, and I've been dancing since I was 3 years old. The more I learned about dance, the more curious I became about the power of expressive movement. On this show, we'll highlight some of the various styles of dance and movement that Nova Scotians engage with, from Highland dance to hip-hop, circus, and more. We'll also get to see how these expressive movement styles support our communities, as well as their individual emotional and physiological benefits. So come with me as I travel across Nova Scotia to explore the ways we move. For this week's episode, I'm in Halifax once again, but this time I'll be learning about a completely different movement style. Here at BreakSpace, housed at Dance Space on Grafton in the downtown core of the city, I'll be diving into the world of hip-hop with my guest, Nick Nguyen. Nick is a break and hip-hop dancer who founded BreakSpace as a way to bring the energy and essence of hip-hop to his community. Like the hip-hop movement that began in other parts of North America, hip-hop in Halifax has its roots in urban development policies that displaced and unfairly impacted Black communities of Nova Scotia. I'm so excited to chat with Nick about his story and the evolution of hip-hop in Nova Scotia, and I may even give it a go myself.
So my mom and dad are Vietnamese. They came over after the Vietnam War, a little bit after. So my mom would have gone through a few refugee camps, and then she would have been going through Montreal, and then on the train she met my dad, and I think that's what she mentioned. And then so her and her sister got to Halifax. They're part of the refugee program in 1980. And then my dad came through, and then from there on, they sort of just worked really, really hard. And then a little bit later on, there's sort of differences. So my parents split up. It was I was around 12 and my sister was 15, 16. So it was a little bit harder to understand, just because you're at those formative years, that age in your life.
Nick, you're a break dancer and a breakdance instructor. How did you start dancing, and why breakdance?
The way I got into the dance is a little embarrassing, because all my crewmates, all my homies are like, yeah, you know what I mean? Like, I did it so I wouldn't do like this gang activity, or I wouldn't do like this illicit activity. But then I was also going through a rough time, which is not to say like they're comparable, but the story is a little bit funnier just because my friend was like, hey, you want to watch Step Up 2? And it's
the Step Up movies they're dance movies, right?
There's certainly dance in those movies.
Yeah. And
there's a plot. It's cute. It's like I don't think the writers were like, we're gonna make like a Oscar-winning movie.
No.
I think it's just like very much like nice content for people to watch. And then the dancers get to do their thing for the most part, which is really cool. And that's what I got captivated by. I just saw that, and I
by the breakdancing specifically in the movies?
Breakdancing, but for me at that time, I thought that was way out of my reach. And then so there's another style of hip hop dance. It's like more of a social dance, which is called popping. So it's like when you do those isolations, you pretend to be a robot. But yeah, so I had done soccer, lacrosse, swimming at those points. I was pretty musical with saxophone, violin, and piano, but
so you're doing a lot of activity.
I was doing a lot of activities. I wasn't really captivated by them because, again, there's a creative aspect that is required with a lot of dance, I believe, especially hip hop.
And you didn't feel like you were getting as much of a creative outlet?
No.
In like sports and...
Yeah, well, even in a lot of the band classes. So I was going through the YouTube videos, and that's how I was learning popping and like how to do like the freestyle hip hop dance, which is a little bit a newer age form of hip hop. It's definitely not like the 70s, 80s, or 90s.
So you sort of started teaching yourself from like YouTube videos.
Self-taught in a very loose way.
After seeing how interested Nick was in dance, his sister signed him up for classes at Halifax Dance, which eventually led to him teaching dance himself.
In 2008 would have been when I started, and then 2009 was when I started somewhat assisting the teacher there, Toby, who's in a group called Koala Core. And then later on, I would have been joined on to the Concrete Roots roster, which is like this group of guys who are like, oh, we're gonna go around to a bunch of schools and we're gonna teach it to try and make the dance a little bit more accessible, because Halifax dance isn't, or a lot of dance classes just in general aren't that cheap.
Right, like studios.
Yeah, the studios can be a little bit inaccessible for certain socioeconomic statuses. So I got into it mostly just because I wanted something that felt like I could become creative with and really show my individuality.
Nick's experience as an instructor with various dance groups showed him the importance and relevance of dance workshops for youth in the Halifax area.
Health promotion, which is the undergrad I did at Dal, comes into play with hip hop. There's obviously a lot of kids out there who need maybe just more activities to do, but also just like maybe the support, and then maybe there's some barriers to it. I was going out from Sambro to East Preston to North Preston to Upper Hammonds Plains to like Central Halifax to North Dartmouth, teaching all over these places, teaching like 30 kids at a time who are just like ranging from like way too young to like, it's like, you know what I mean? Like it's like 8-year-olds to 12-year-olds. And then you recognize, well, if these kids really like it, like we want to sustain this, why don't we make like a drop-in session? And then the idea was to start in Halifax and then start branching out, right? So we started here at Dance Space, and then the Halifax Central Library was like, oh, let's partner, which is great for several reasons. And then the other thing is like eventually we want to go to like the Keyshan Library, eventually we want to branch out to like hopefully Yarmouth and then like Cape Breton and like all these areas. It comes back to what we previously talked about, which is like hip hop is really centered around garnering a community that is supportive and can offer that care for each other.
Nick's passion for providing a space for his community to engage in dance is amazing, and I'm so excited to learn more about how and why hip hop is the movement style for this. This week on The Ways We Move, I'm back in Halifax, this time talking to Nick Nguyen about hip-hop and his visions for bringing it to his community through the creation of BreakSpace.
Coming back to the core root of like, okay, hip-hop is about community, it's about taking care of each other. That is the core essence of why we created BreakSpace. And yeah, just as well as a side tangent, we love all the avenues and where it can be expressed, but we try to be very mindful of how we proceed with this. For example, the Olympics has essentially put the breakdancing as one of the 2024 sports. A lot of like the original breakers will say, yeah, this is a great avenue. A lot of them will officially say, yeah, it's a really great thing, but this isn't necessarily hip hop to its core. Right, just like skateboarding is going to be in the Olympics.
Skateboarding, what? Yeah.
Yeah. So it's in the Olympics.
Yeah.
That isn't all of skateboarding.
Yeah.
And it's that idea of tokenizing that might happen, where it's like a lot of these professional breakdancers now who will make it to the Olympics, are they trained by the community? Are they from the community? Are they supporting the community? Or are they basically bred in these studios that are just pumping out these like, not monotone, but very formulaic dancers, in a way, athletes. I would love to say, hey, yeah, like some of my students are Olympians, let's go. But at the end of the day, what I want to leave behind is a community that loves to dance, gets down together, and is willing to give each other a helping hand if necessary. And that's easier said than done. I can't say that I'm officially there.
But that's your goal.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's what BreakSpace is hoping to be, centered around breaking.
After a hiatus caused by the COVID-19 pandemic, BreakSpace is back, and Nick is ready to bring hip-hop to as many people as possible.
Hopefully the community will be big. It's really just about like the members. So even if it's a small community, it's a small community, but we love it. So hopefully we can share it.
And it's drop-in sessions.
Yep.
Here in Halifax that you're hoping to extend to other parts of the province. Maybe
even the Maritimes, but
yeah.
Ideally just Nova Scotia for now. Yeah.
And do you find you get like the same group coming back, or do you sometimes get like one-offs, or? Yeah,
there's a few people who are just like being in the community, so they take their time with it. There are some people who do come in and just like, I want to get this move, I want to get windmills, I want to be able to spin on my head. I'm like, okay, well, that's going to take a little bit of time. We take a very, I think, grounded approach, which is to say like, hey, how are you feeling today? Like, what do you want to work on? Again, we're not here to develop Olympians. We're just here to be like, hey, if you want to be a part of the community, you can be a part of the community.
If you like the rhythm, if you like the blues, if you like the beat that makes you move, if you can't give up, if you can't move on, let go with the music, let the movement bring you along.
Does BreakSpace function as, training for like breakdancers, or do a lot of the dancers train elsewhere outside of BreakSpace?
That's a really good question. I think it comes back to a previous theme, which is to say, for example, we like studios, we like being able to support dancers in whatever their goals and aspirations might be. Breaking wasn't created to essentially have maybe a CV or something that you need to provide. It's about expressing yourself. So,
like breakdancing wasn't created in a studio?
No, it wasn't created in a studio. It was created by kids on the streets, hence the term street style or street dance. And again, if people want to come to BreakSpace and they want to get training, we're more than happy to do that. A lot of the community members will assist in that. But at the end of the day, what the core focus on is that I think is either adjacent or includes that is being community led and community focused. If you're part of the community, you can definitely still become Olympian or world-class professional breaker, if you will.
Let me see it, let me see it, get up, out of that seat and dust yourself off. We gotta get loose. One time, two times, okay, I think they got it now. I'm not defined by my circumstances.
And what you do at BreakSpace isn't a studio space. It's free, it's community-based, it's collaborative, it's this workshop feeling. I want to know, do you think that when we take these forms of dance that are so rooted in community and in liberation and resilience, and we put a price tag on them and we put them in the studio, do you think that we lose something? What do you think about taking these forms of dances and putting them in a studio?
That's a complex question, and the short answer would be yes. But the long answer is more dynamic and nuanced, which is to say, you have certain folks like me who would have been too shy for the community.
Right, you started dancing in a studio.
Yeah, so I started dancing in the studio. So for me, I'm inherently biased, but then I look at some studios and I say, yeah, no, this isn't accessible in terms of finances or even just region. If you go to some rural communities, they have a community hall, but they don't have a dance center or a dance school. So maybe certain communities have to drive 2 hours out. and then that's not as accessible. So accessibility is the name of the game, and that's something that BreakSpace aims towards. We aim towards to being collaborative. We hope to be collaborative. We hope to be community focused. It's a processes, and I think that's what we're alluding to, which is there's some studios that are like teaching hip hop choreography, but they don't go over the roots of where does hip hop come from? Why was it created? Okay, so this was created by kids in the streets to be accessible. And then, like you mentioned, now you're selling that, but they're not really acknowledging the roots of it, right? And then that's the reason for BreakSpace and trying to aim towards being like, hey, we're not a studio. That's not to knock on studios. There's a benefit to it if they do it right.
It's so wonderful to see a dance group focused on engagement and in keeping with the core values of hip-hop. As an alternative to sometimes expensive dance studios, BreakSpace strives to be accessible and community-driven. On this week's episode of The Ways We Move, I've been speaking with Nick Nguyen, founder of BreakSpace in Halifax, where he has created something truly wonderful by offering an accessible dance group for his community. The freedom he aims to provide at BreakSpace is mirrored in his chosen movement style, hip-hop. Why hip-hop for you?
In my mind, it's always easy to say creativity, but I think a lot of people are like, what does that mean?
Sure.
If we look at breakdancing, I don't think there's a lot of dances where you think, what if I just took a spinning element and I just took my body and I just spun on my head? Oh, I'll just spin on my back. Oh, I'll just throw my leg around. Oh, I can make patterns by using my hands and legs on the ground.
Right.
And then one of the general rules of that eventually becomes you learn the rules so that you know how to break the rules. So you are given this almost, in my mind, and this could be really artsy-fartsy, but as an artist, it's this idea of almost ultimate freedom.
Sure.
Because you know what the restrictions and parameters are, most of them, and then you're given this opportunity, hey, you don't have to listen to them.
The creativity inherent in hip-hop extends beyond the dance moves and out into the individual and their community.
So the main four elements of hip hop that first started off this culture, the dance component. So the original dance was breakdancing, and that's why BreakSpace, we try and focus on that. MCing, which is rapping. DJing, to turntables, usually playing around with the same song or maybe mixing it up, really giving that creative aspect. And the last one is graffiti artists. So a lot of them have the same aspect of hip hop, which is to celebrate the individual. We're celebrating this individual in relation to the community, but you can't have the community without the individuals and their unique tastes.
While breaking is the original form of hip-hop dance, it has evolved and grown into other forms over the years.
Breaking that has then branched out to several other forms of dance, right? You have popping, locking, hip hop choreography, you have whacking, you have like a lot of voguing influences, you have like house, you have crump. And it's I think it might be a misnomer to say that they branched off, but they were still very much a part of the hip hop dance family.
Right.
But most original pioneers will say breaking was the first one to really hit the mainstream and sell the idea of being like, okay, this is something of value.
With so many forms of hip-hop dance, Nick is eager to collaborate with other hip-hop artists to provide a truly holistic experience for his community.
I don't know all those other forms. I've done a little bit of popping.
Yeah.
But eventually with BreakSpace, I do hope to actually branch off somewhere to be like, hey, like we would love to hire someone who's like a popper. there's a lot of incredible artists that do these styles in Nova Scotia that I would love to give some more stage time and just more like facilitation time.
After chatting with Nick about the various forms of hip-hop dance and seeing his passion for bringing such a unique movement style to his community, I couldn't wait to get up and try it myself. I have had so much fun talking with Nick here at BreakSpace. The energy and creative freedom inherent to hip-hop are palpable. Thanks so much for joining me to learn about how Nick is bringing the energy of hip-hop to his community. And be sure to tune in next week to explore more of the ways we move. I learned so much about breakdance and hip-hop culture today talking to Nick Nguyen about his BreakSpace program. Something that really stuck with me was the importance of community in this dance. The energy here at BreakSpace is infectious, and I even learned some cool new moves.
Baby, that's my cue. Came about that game life. I'm feeling great, right? Talking to my past life. Focus on my great life. Cruising to my future now. I'm feeling groovy. And I ain't turning back. No, got the green light, let's go. Ain't turning back. Now that I'm back on track, yeah. Take my word for it. Put a couple bands on it. And I don't plan on letting people turn me. No. You can say what you want. I'ma keep pressing on. I came about that game life. I'm feeling great, right? Talking to my past life. Focus on my great life. Cruising to my future now. I'm feeling groovy. And I ain't turning back. What type of stuff is you on? Say I'm gone, I'm gone. No need in calling my phone, cause I'm gone, I'm gone. What type of stuff is you on? Say I'm gone, I'm gone. So focus on my break life.